Oh, yep, it says we're live. Focus, 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 focus. Oh boy. I have to walk out here in some light. This is Mike from Mike's Magic. Auto detailing, there we go, and paint enhancement here in a sunny Sharpsburg, Georgia. Still a little bit chilly. Welcome everybody, welcome. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday. I just wanted to jump on here right quick. Yeah, boy, oh boy. Got that gas cap a little crooked there. From when I took it off. Had to clean around it, you got to take it off. But we are done. Me are done with our 1965 Mustang gt350 Cobra clone / restomod. Man, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Oh my. A lot of work, a lot of hours and hours went into this car. It is one of my higher levels of paint correction as opposed to paint enhancement that I have, although it could be taken to another level or so if, number one, time permitted, and two, budget permitted. But this car is slated here in a day or so to get on a trailer and go off to a sale. So basically there is no time left. But I say it came out really nice. Oh boy. Still getting dust on it. Oh my. But it was buffed and buffed. Basically a two-step buff. Compounding with rotary, polishing with dual action, all different sizes, buffers, backing plates, pads, all kind of stuff. But I'm telling you folks, it came out really nice. I am relatively happy with it, although I would like to have had more time and budget to go to the next level. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this or not unless I go get my inspection light, but somewhere in here, they're really hard to see. But somewhere right in there, for example, there are pigtails in the clear coat, which I am told come from not keeping your sandpaper fresh and clear of stuff when you're sanding. It doesn't matter if you're hand sanding or machine sanding, that paper gets clunked up with stuff. You will leave some pigtails, and they can be extremely difficult to get out. Yeah, sometimes you can dust this thing off a little bit. Sometimes you can buff them out, but not usually. Usually you have to go back and sand them out, and then you have to go back, compound, polish, all that stuff. And there are some scratches left in this paint, but I'd say 98% or more of what was present from whoever buffed this thing the last time, or at the body shop or whatever. Man, they made some not bad mistakes, but they made some mistakes. Probably got in too big a hurry. I think they were probably trying to go to that old school one size buffer fits all. And you can do it that way if you're really good, but you have to be very careful. Ran across a lot of buffing marks. There's a couple of burn spots here and there from a buffer, not from me, but from somebody buffing it before. And I spent a lot of time straightening all that out, but overall this thing has come out really nice. Getting dust on it. But there are some scratching left, which at this level I could not remove. A lot of it would require wet sanding, damp sanding, but they're really hard to see unless you've got some really good lighting going on, or maybe if you're out in direct sunlight. Man, I'm telling you, that's like a mirror right there. The reflection of that light up there, would you? This stuff was a pain. Had to be done by hand, had to be done by hand. You know, all these spaces like on this front end, all those little narrow spaces and stuff like that, pain in the butt to get to. Like inside this headlight rim there, you know, all that's very narrow, very curvy. It'd be one thing if it was narrow and flat, but it's narrow and curvy. And that's one mistake a lot of people make. There were not many spots on this car where you could use even a 5-inch pad. And if you went up to a 6 or an 8, or, you know, they make them, I think, all the way up to 10. Even if you tried to use those, there are too many little narrow spots. And even this looks flat, but it's not. It's got a curve to it. So most of this was done like these wider spots with a 3-inch buffer to compensate for the curvature in the metal. Especially little spots like that. That took a 1-inch pad and a small buffer. I mean, you can do it. You can try to do it with those big buffers. And some of it I actually did do with a 5-inch. But I kind of gave up on that because I realized even though that looked flat, it was not flat. And I was only using about that much of the pad anyway. So I decided to drop down to a 3-inch. So I could use the entire pad. The glass is new, so it came out really nice. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, see all these little spaces here was difficult to do. The roof came out pretty nice, but I was going to show you guys, if I have time before my owner gets here, there's a spot right in there that needs a little more buffing. I doubt if y'all are going to be able to pick up on it, but I'm going to get my little buffer out and go back and do that spot right. It's just right there. I don't know, about 8-10 inches, just a little strip right along there where it's still just a little bit cloudy. So I'm going to go back with my little mini buffer. It won't take me just a minute or two to knock that out and recoat it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay, all these places here, what a pain. All that stuff, holy mackerel. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. And I'm real happy with the way the wheels came out. There again, these could go to another level. But basically, I would have to remove them from the car to do that. Another day, another dollar, as they say. I just wanted to show you guys real quick how it came out. Overall, I'm extremely happy with it. You know, a lot, you know, with the time allotted and the budget allotted, like I say, it could go another level or two higher than this. But hopefully when it gets to the sale, the potential buyers or the buyer will be happy with it. And I hope the owner's happy with it. Oh boy, even polished this. I showed y'all in the photograph a while ago. I even polished up the license plate before I put it back on. Hell, even my license plate looks good in the frame around it. Getting around those exhaust and those those little round backup lights or whatever they were. That was another pain. You know, that thing goes up under, so I spent a lot of time laying on the ground and reaching up to get that stuff, cleaning and buffing and all that stuff, polishing, blah 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 blah. Back-breaking work. Got inside the fender wells, all that was done and coated. Oh well. I'd say it looks pretty darn good. What a spectacular car. Absolutely spectacular. This is the kind of car I think you would get and drive. Hey, Mr. Kelly, maybe I think you would want to drive this, Mike. I'm not sure I would want this to stay a garage queen for very long. I mean, the paint's not perfect anyway. It's not showroom. Well, it's not concours. It's probably better than most vehicles you see in a dealership showroom, because most dealerships, they have some detailers, but they won't pay a lot of money for it. They would never pay for this level of detailing on brand new cars. So I get a lot of brand new vehicles in here that take almost this much work to make them look like they should look when they leave the dealership. You know, when at the factory, they sit outside, they get contaminants all over them. They ship by truck or by train. They get rail dust, brake dust, all that stuff, all this kind of industrial fallout, contaminants on the paint. And most dealerships, you know, all they're going to do is wash them and wax them. Get them cleaner and shiny. But a lot of times what you end up with is shiny scratches and dirt. So, you know, I have yet to have a brand new car in here, and I've had a few. Some less than 40 miles. And they all needed strip washing. They needed decontamination. They needed clay barring. And they needed, at a minimum, what we call a one-step polish. Using a one-step or an all-in-one, and some kind of protection added to them, because in a detailer's eyes, they were not clean and not acceptable. Mike, when a detailer goes to when a real detailer, he goes to a dealership to buy a car, whether it be used or new, they put a big sign on the windshield that says, "Do not wash." They do not want the dealership touching the car before they get a hold of it, because they're going to do about as much damage as they do good. The vast majority of dealerships, maybe unless you're at a Mercedes dealership or something like that, sometimes they do a better job. But I've had new Mercedes in here. I had to do them over to clean up the dealership's detailing mess, because they take shortcuts. They don't give them a lot of time. They don't give them a lot of money. Like I said, I doubt seriously if any dealership that you called or contacted would pay the price or let me take the time I took with this car. None of them. Like I say, the paint job on this thing is very good. Is it perfect? Was it perfect? Nope. They dropped the ball in a few spots, but you know, doing these really old cars, whew, unless you really want to pay a lot of money and have a lot of time, it's very difficult to get them perfect, Mike. But and it always seems to be a lot in the same places. I don't know if you can see that black line there. That's where the paint's cracking in that rain gutter or whatever you call it. It's got it up here, and it always seems to be here. I don't know why. I'm not a painter really, so I don't know, but I mean, look at that. That's cracked paint, and it always seems to happen right there on these classic cars for some reason. I guess it's very difficult to paint them properly unless you remove this trim, which I could tell it wasn't. I don't think it was removed, Mike, because I could see buffer marks on it where they didn't tape off like I do. And there was some overspray on certain parts. There's some overspray on some of the rubber, which I got a lot of it off, but I couldn't get it all off. Primer, I think it was. Some of it was the white paint. I'm not sure. But I mean, some of this trim, you know, if I were doing the top-notch body shop treatment on this, of course I would take the trim off, and then I would, you know, in addition to painting and all that, I would have restored this trim, which in one of my other videos on the 66 Volkswagen, you can see on that video where I removed a lot of the trim because it was really bad. and I had to sand it down, then I had to compound it, then I had to polish it, and then after that I prepped it and went back and put clear coat on it to give it back its shine and to protect it. That was really time consuming to do. Even no more trim that's on a Volkswagen Bug. It's that black one if you run across that video. And I've had a hold of that car a couple of times. I did it one time, and then a year later the guy brought it back and wanted me to do it again. So it's just this restorative detailing, as I call it, very time consuming, very tedious, but on cars like this, man, is it a lot of fun. Very self-satisfying, I'm telling you. Very little wet sanding done on this car because of a lack of time and budget. So a lot of these scratches, yeah, if you went after them with a buffer, if you kept at it long enough, Mike, yeah, you might get them, but man, you'd have to really dig deep into that clear coat. And it is actually less aggressive on those deeper scratches to wet sand them and then polish them. You remove way less clear coat, believe it or not, doing it that way. That's what I was taught, and I've borne that out many times using my paint thickness gauge before and after both types of procedures. I'm like, hey, I removed way less clear coat by wet sanding those scratches first. Believe it or not, it's up to you. Do it however you want to do it. But you want to preserve absolutely as much clear coat as possible on these two-stage paints, which is the vast majority of what you see nowadays, because the clear coat is not very thick, very thin, and that's what provides you, in addition to, hey Roger, in addition to gloss and shine, it more importantly, in my estimation, is that's where your UVA and UVB protection comes from. And it has a half-life. They say it loses half of its protection in the first 5 years. So, you know, you absolutely want to preserve as much clear coat as absolutely possible. There's a few products out there that can help make up for that. And there again, on that 66 Volkswagen, for example, and this to a few other cars, I used that product. It's called Optimum Clear Coat Restorer. It is literally a white-on, self-leveling clear coat. I put 2 cans on that Volkswagen because he wanted to preserve that paint job for some reason. Not sure. I don't think it was an original paint job, because it was a base coat clear coat, and they didn't have that back in '66. But it came out looking real good. It's got clear coat on it now, by golly, for sure. But it did an excellent job of repairing the paint job on that car. But man, this is another one I'm going to be kind of sad to see her leave, guys and girls. But that's just the way it goes. I can't afford one of these things. Man, look at that. Ooh-wee. Man, even getting nose to the paint, you're hard pressed to find any scratching left. Hard pressed, and it was full of scratches. A lot of it was from improper washing methods and improper buffing methods, so forth and so on. But I'd say 98% or more of all that is gone, boys and girls. So hey, I'm glad to see y'all took time out of your Sunday to drop by and check in with me. I do appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. Have a great Sunday. Don't forget, like, tag, share, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. Give me a thumbs up, a thumbs down. Make comments. If you got a question, you want to know how to do some of these, what I used, how I did it, so forth and so on, what products I use, what equipment I use, don't be embarrassed to ask. I'm happy to share. You know, people ask me, what's your secret? There is no secrets. Not to me. I'm happy to share with what I know and what I use, which is the result of hours probably hundreds of hours of research, experimenting with different products and equipment. So it's just, can you go to Harbor Freight or somewhere like that, get you a dual action buffer and get results like this, and buy that off the shelf retail compounds and polishes and waxes and all that kind of stuff? You can get pretty close with enough patience and diligence, but I don't think you would get to this level. Maybe you could, I don't know, but I doubt it, because I've tried all that stuff, trust me. I just spent $600 on a new buffer because my Chinese knockoff lasted about a year and it was fading fast. So I ordered a new one, which is quality build flex. And it's a brushless motor, which gives it a lot more horsepower, a lot more longevity. And the gears, for example, are machined, not stamped. So they tell me, I don't know. But it sure does run a lot smoother, a lot less vibration, a lot less noise. And with the new technologies, it's a hell of a lot lighter than my old ones, which are still good buffers. And I will keep them as a backup. But after hours and hours and hours, believe you me, a 5-pound buffer is a lot easier on the body than an 8 or a 10-pound buffer. Okay. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Thank you. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, follow me, whatever, so when I get the next project in here, which I think may be the same customer's Trans Am 455. It's an old one, I think a 70-something model. But he had to have part of it repainted before he brought it to me. But we shall see. We shall see. Thank you, guys. I'll catch y'all next go around. Goodbye now.